If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stacked that he knows when he goes back to this mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go back to this moment and hope it don't pass him.
Listen, we can talk about the flag, but let's talk about the Wait.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on SM Media. Live, as always, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you share it out on Facebook. Hit that retweet button on Twitter. Thumbs up and subscription on YouTube. And whatever you do on Twitch, I don't know. I've never even heard of Twitch. So if there's a share button on Twitch, go for it. If there's a thumbs up, whatever it is. If you want to get involved in the show, because we got a jam-packed Overreaction Monday, best way to get interactive with the show, Facebook or YouTube. You head over to those places. That's where I can put your comments like these examples up on the screen. Yes, it is Overreaction Monday. Yes, I'm still saying 6s and 5. And yeah, I mean, you can even plug it into your Apple CarPlay and play us on your way into work or wherever you're driving to early in the morning. I am Phil Stifle, your host, at Beauty Knowledge on Twitter. My co-host this morning, Mark Moscatelli, with Mark with a C. Jason will be joining us shortly. It seems like Jason's computer problems only happen on Overreaction Monday. A little excited, and then he accidentally messes it up. He will be joining us shortly. And we're brought to you here at DSM Media on all shows by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT in below-the-waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM at checkout to get you free shipping and let them know Team DSM sent you. Good morning, Mark. How you doing this Overreaction Monday?
Fantastic. How are you, my friend?
I'm tired. Doing some work, some pizza shop work on the side. As I'm hosting the show, I'm trying to do a little bit of everything here, but it's Overreaction Monday. It's our favorite day of the week. We got so much to talk about. Free agency tampering period begins today. You know, in the NFL, the Sixers, another, a win last night. I'm not going to say another good win. A good win. It was a win. March Madness starts, this week. The brackets were released yesterday afternoon. And Phillies baseball. Free agency is kind of sort of beginning again. Camps are underway. So we got lots to talk about and lots to overreact to today. So I want to start with baseball because baseball's my baby, and I don't know how long we're going to talk about it. The Phillies fans are overreacting a lot to the start of Phillies free agency and camp. There's lots to go into with it. Chris Bryant has not been signed yet. Kyle Schwarber's not been signed yet. Nick Castellanos has not been signed yet. The Phillies have been linked to some trades. Matt Chapman from the Athletics. But the Phillies have done one thing so far, or two things so far. One, they have brought in Jesus Familia. I think I said that right. Former Mets closer. And looks like they might be bringing back Odubel Herrera. So I know you're going to totally disagree with this. But Overreaction Monday, the Phillies fans are overreacting to the bad start to free agency. Or the bad restart to free agency. I got to make sure I phrase that right.
I think they are overreacting. Well, first of all, Matt Gelb just tweeted out that Odubel Herrera is signed to a major league contract.
Minutes, okay.
Yeah, John Clark just shared that post that that Gelb said that he's signed to a major league contract to platoon with Matt. What's it?
Veerling, yeah, Matt
Veerling. Make sure I pronounce that right. In center field, bad move. So let's take away the domestic violence issue aside, okay? Odubel Herrera. First of all, he got a second chance. I know Scotty in our little group message is all for second chances for some of these players, and I am too. He got his second chance last year.
Yep.
He's a terrible baseball player. Terrible fundamentally. He cannot run the bases. He is often out of position in center field. He swings wildly at the plate. He has no plate discipline. Of all the players that are in their organization, are you telling me you couldn't find somebody that would replace him this year and do just as good, if not better? And if anything, a Hasley or a Moniak, at least it'd say, hey, listen, they're finally on the major league roster, and now we're going to start paying dividends from them being drafted. No, they're going back to the well with this guy, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. Walk me off the ledge here, Phil. Why is he on this team again?
I mean, obviously, I got harassed like hell yesterday because I said, hey, it is what it is. Look, baseball teams, sports teams in general, especially in Philadelphia, they often go back to the well to what they know. The Phillies organization knows Odubel Herrera. The Phillies are going to sign big money to somebody, whether it's Chris Bryant, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, somebody else. The Phillies are going to spend some of that. They have $40 million, so they hit that luxury tax. And we're going to get into that in a second because of the other report from Matt Gelb about capping. Dave Dombrowski's capped at the luxury tax again this year. We'll get to that in a second. The Phillies are going to spend some of that $40 million. They're going to go out and get somebody big, whether it's in a trade or whether it's signing one of those big three that everybody wants. They still need to fill out a roster. And there's a reason why teams, and I'm going to use the Phillies as an example, because they're our team, and that's what we're doing, bringing back Odubel Herrera. While they brought back Roman Quinn so many times, teams tend to go back to the well for their cheaper options, their end of their roster, to the people that they already know what they're getting. They don't. If you're telling me there's 5 below average outfielders out there, the Phillies and Odubel Herrera is one of those 5. The Phillies are going to go with the one they know because they know what Odubel Herrera is. He's below average, but he has shown glimpses of getting on hot streaks here or there for a week or two. So that's why they went to him instead of going to Mark Moscatelli, the other below average outfielder that's available, and they don't know what they're going to get with him. And that's what it is. You see this in all sports. Teams go back to the well for the bottom portions of their rosters because they know what they're getting. And it's a common thread in all of sports. It really is.
But this team sucks. I mean, they have been underachieving 500-esque forever. So that you're telling me then that's I'm okay with being average, and I think the fans have had enough.
I am probably the only Mickey Moniak stan that is out there anymore. I like Mickey Moniak. I saw 2 years ago before COVID hit, Mickey Moniak was turning a corner in his career. And Mickey Moniak is still pretty young. He's only like 24 years old. So the kid still has a chance. I'm giving the job to him. Adam Hazley, before last year, before he had to leave the team, which I don't think we really know why he left the team at this point. That was still kept surprisingly, that was kept under wraps pretty well. If he's going to be back, I have no problem going with, Adam Hazley. You go with those two guys. And Versling, you let the 3 of them battle it out in camp. You go with, Scott Kingery. He's on a non-guaranteed invite to spring training. He's played center field before. Not too bad. You go with the 4 young kids. You let them battle it out, and you pick the 2 best. That's what I would do. You saying that Matt Gelb said it's a guaranteed major league contract, I'm surprised. I figured Odubel would get one of those non-guaranteed contracts and maybe get cut, at the beginning of the season. That I'm surprised with. But I would do that just like you. I would go with these kids and let them battle it out because it can't get any worse.
Correct.
But baseball teams go back to the well. Time and there's a reason certain guys hang on as long as they do in the pros and the bigs. It's because teams want what they know, and they know what they get in Odubel Herrera, which to us is not much, but
I think I will say this. I think they're a little gun shy about opening up the checkbook to sign a big name player because of what happened with Kutch and what happened with Didi. And they more or less didn't pan out, and they're stuck with DD. Apparently, he's going to be the shortstop this year. So they find a taker somewhere.
From the reports, because Dombrowski talked this weekend. So did Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi said that he told Didi and he told Bryson Stott, our top prospect, who's a shortstop, it's a fight for you two. Obviously Didi will have the slight edge over Bryson Stott because of the fact that he's getting paid so much, but he is going to let them battle it out over the next 3 or 4 weeks, and he's going to let them, earn the job. And you're going to continue. There's quite a few rumors of Didi being linked to Colorado Rockies, which actually I think that's a great spot for him in Colorado with that thin air. Being a left-handed hitters thrive in Colorado. I think that would be a really good spot. And that could be another reason, with the center field thing, the deal that's being linked there that you keep hearing the rumors of is Charlie Blackmon, their center fielder for Didi, and other pieces mixed in there. Charlie Blackmon
I'd be okay with that.
A massive upgrade at center field. I mean, he's not what he used to be, but he's still a power hitter. He's still a good leadoff hitter. Because honestly, let's be honest. In my opinion, center field, whether it's platooned, whether whoever it is out there, we still have holes on this team. But the biggest hole, in my opinion, at this point is who's the leadoff hitter on the Philadelphia Phillies. Even if you bring in Chris Bryant or Nick Castellanos, you do not have a leadoff hitter.
Yeah, they don't lead off, those guys.
They don't have anybody to lead off for this team.
Well, let Harper lead off. He does everything else on the team. I mean, that's kind of like what the attitude of this team is it's on Harper, and eventually Harper's going to get fed up with this. And right now he's in I think he truly loves being on the Phillies. I think he loves being in Philadelphia, and hey man, more power to him. I love that. But eventually shit's got to happen, I mean, like you got to like eventually he's going to say, well, what am I doing here? I'm stuck here for 13 years and we're not getting past 500. And, to keep him happy, do you sign Chris Bryant?
Absolutely, you do.
I mean, he would be an upgrade too. I mean, another bat in the lineup. Yeah. And, and obviously the bullpen continues to be a work in progress, and I don't feel great about the bullpen, which is a little bit scary. I think their starting pitching is as long as you got Wheeler, and I'm still a Nola guy.
There's another question mark. Did you hear that yesterday? Zach Wheeler might not be ready for the start of the season.
Yeah, which is weird from fatigue from last year. I mean,
for more innings last year than ever before. Hey, Jason, good morning.
What's up, man?
Dude, my freaking computer, I'm ready to freak out.
You got to stop using the Commodore 64, man, and upgrade a little.
What in the friggin' world is wrong with it? Like, I rebooted it like 6 times. The screen was totally blank. Then it said, attaching updates or some shit. I'm like, what is going on? And then I was about to get in, and then it just went off. It just totally shut off. Sorry.
Anyway, back to the Phillies.
Good morning to you too, Jason.
We're talking Phillies, Jason. So,
yeah.
Well, let me keep this going here.
Let's keep the anger going. Ask him about the Phillies.
So let's talk about what Dombrowski said and what Matt Gelb said about Dombrowski. He has a hard cap of $240 million, which is or $230, which is the new luxury tax limit. And another overreaction statement is that we all overreact to the Phillies not wanting to spend money. Because hear me out, guys, before you respond to this. The Phillies do spend money. They are consistently in the top 5, 6, 7 in teams that spend money. They're always right up against the tax threshold. As a business owner myself, if I was the owner, and everybody blames John Middleton, he is just the managing partner. He's got other owners that he's got to talk with, and he just owns the controlling portion of the team. I think he only owns like 40, 45% of the team. That's how many people have hands in the Phillies here. If I was part of that ownership team, would I want to go over the luxury tax limit? The problem isn't that they don't spend. It's that in the last 3 to 5 years, they spent in the wrong places. Mm-hmm. So you've got contracts that you're giving to people. Didi Gregorius, we brought him up. He's on a big contract right now. In the money being spent in the wrong places so that we can't get over the hump. If you're going to tell me that we're an 80 to 82 win team at $230 million, why would I tell you go to $250 million to get us to 85 wins? Because that's all that's going to do. So I think the fans overreact too much to the fact that the Phillies aren't willing to go over the luxury tax, because why would they? I mean, why as a business owner would you go over the luxury tax for a mediocre team? And that's all they are. Spending an extra $20 million isn't going to be the difference between being 81 wins and 95 wins. One player isn't going to do that. So I think people overreact to the Middleton and the not want to go over the luxury tax. I think he will go over the luxury tax if this team is in position to win a title or at least make a deep run. Jason, since you're new to the show today, how do you feel about that?
I totally disagree with your statement.
Okay.
I don't think it's an overreaction when you have the New York Mets, who already had a great offseason before the lockout ended, and then they trade for Chris Bassett, who's basically an ace. It's bullshit, Phil. Dave Dombrowski was brought here for one reason, and he's pussyfooting around. Odubel Herrera, you're trying to sell me Odubel Herrera? Odubel Herrera is a joke, okay?
Right. We already talked about Odubel. Odubel Herrera.
It's a joke.
It's just one small piece.
And Uris Familia, his days have passed him. He's in the past. He's a has-been. You cannot tell. Listen, I don't care if they don't spend money on the premium guys and get top-of-the-line guys. I get that. But you're doing the opposite. You're getting baseline guys that mean nothing, that aren't going to help your team. It's not a good look, dude. It's not a good look, especially when this team has not been competitive since 2011. Okay? The act is old. It's like the Flyers. It's the same thing. Repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. It's not happening. And I'm pissed off as a fan, and I have every right to be pissed off. And you're right. It's his money. He can do what he wants. But it's a slap in the face to the fans that care about the team and actually got excited that the lockout was over. And then
it's funny. We literally just got excited that the lockout. We literally just got excited that the lockout's over, and we're already turning the page to being, bitter Phillies fans right now.
Because it's the same bullshit. It's frustrating. I'm passionate. And I'm sorry if I go off. That's because I have feelings inside, and I want this team to be better. And you're not going to sell me Odubel Herrera and Uris Familia and tell me that you're improving this team. Okay? Yes, I'm willing to be patient. But guys are going off the board. It's the same thing that's happening in the NFL. Wide receivers keep going off the board. Now Amari Cooper leaves. It's just this. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Mark?
I'll say this about the spend. Just because they're going to spend at or past the luxury tax doesn't mean the team is going to be better. I think it's all about how do you spend your money. Are you spending it wisely? Are you putting it in the right positions? Are you getting the right players? I don't need all the superstars on the team, but I do need a team that just going back to 2008 with Gillick. Pat Gillick's a Hall of Famer. He helped win a World Series here. Fantastic GM. He didn't get big names. He got guys off the Rule 5 and guys that have broken wrists and that were on their second organizations, that he knew that there was talent there and had faith that the coaches here could untap that talent. Guys like Worth and Victorino and such. And plus they drafted very, very well. That's how you build a team. Is Dombrowski going to draft really well? I believe he has a reputation of not drafting well and instead adding free agents and stuff like that. So I'm a little concerned about that. Again, they don't have to spend beyond the tax, but they do have to make a splash on one guy and plug some holes elsewhere on diamonds in the rough. I think that's where your teams get successful. I think if you're constantly signing big names to big contracts just for the sake of doing that, it blows up in your face. I remember with Didi, when we signed Didi, everybody was clamoring to sign him, don't let him walk away. We signed him and he sucked. He had a really bad year. And I don't want that to happen. I want to see a true build through the draft.
Well, that's not why Dombrowski's here. Dombrowski is here to, make it. Dombrowski goes to organizations to take. He did it with Detroit. He did it with Boston. He gets brought in to take you over the top, make big, bold moves, whatnot. He's the Daryl Morey type guy. But But I mean, this is Phillies related, but it's also, everybody's waiting on Chris Bryant, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber. Why is it that we don't hear, not just for the Phillies, but any team?
I have the
teams
answer.
after a lockout scared to spend money all of a sudden?
I have an answer.
Chris
You have
Bryant
an
got
answer?
signed by Chicago.
I'm confused why nobody's signed yet.
Chris Bryant got signed by Chicago
When?
yesterday.
Did I miss that?
I thought I saw it, that they were re-signing him.
All right, now you got me looking now.
Now you got me looking.
Unless it was a fake tweet.
As of a few minutes ago, people are still tweeting that they still want Chris Bryant in Philly. So
maybe
everything I see is no.
I don't know. Chris Bryant Mariners came up the first.
Yeah, no.
Thing.
As of now, he is not signed. You scared me for a second, Jason. No, he's not free agent. Mark, go ahead.
Let me tell you why nobody signed. It's one word, and it's been attached to baseball since the 80s, and it's collusion. And I firmly believe that the teams are in lockstep together to wait to the possible last minute to sign a lot of these players to help keep salaries down. So they may have ended the lockout, but they're still trying to keep those salaries in check and, control the market, so to speak. I firmly believe that. And that's why you're going to see a lot of late signings up until the end of training camp, or for them to join their teams. There are a lot of guys are going to end up missing spring training. I firmly believe that. You can't tell me otherwise. They've been operating like this since the mid 80s, and at least since I was a kid watching baseball. And it's just the way it is.
They have talked about, because of the short spring training, because of, maybe because of what you're saying, that people are going to sign late in spring training and stuff like that, that they're going to potentially expand rosters in April to make up, to give people, because pitchers aren't going to be stretched out. They're not going to be able to go 7, 8, 9 innings. Batters might not, be ready to play double headers every single day, because there's going to be a whole bunch of double headers throughout the season. So that is a possibility, Mark. Collusion could be part of it.
I mean, Freddie Freeman's one of the best players in baseball, coming off a World Series win. He's not signed yet. Braves haven't signed him. Yankees haven't signed him. Hasn't been signed yet. But how does that?
The Yankees actually, right before we went live, I saw breaking news that Josh Donaldson just got traded to the Yankees. So
I saw that.
Great though, but that wasn't not a big signing.
Freddie Freeman. It's funny because you mentioned Freddie Freeman's name. He's a guy that I know a lot of people could not ever see the Braves letting him go, and I'm being one of them. But I'll tell you, he's the type of signing that would make I would be happier than a pig in shit. Freddie Freeman, pairing Freddie Freeman with Bryce Harper. Now you're talking. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that's just a supreme player overall. Freddie Freeman. He's not like Kyle Schwarber, going to strike out 150 times a year and bat 220. Yeah. The guy hits 300 every year and hits 35 bombs, and he's a great player.
He's a professional hitter. And you know what? What's great? You put Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper back to back in a lineup, two lefties. You worry about teams pitching around, Bryant to get to Schwarber because he can't hit say a left-handed pitcher. You put Freddie Freeman back to back with Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper's going to get better because teams are going to have to choose. Well, you don't worry about the matchups with Freddie Freeman because Freddie Freeman is that elite of a base hitter. Nobody talks about Freddie Freeman. I know everybody's talking about him going to the Yankees, but no one talks about him to the Phillies. If I was the Phillies, if I was Dave Dombrowski,
sign him in a heartbeat. Move Hoskins to DH.
After all the the yelling that I just did in the beginning of this segment, honestly, maybe that's what they are. Maybe they're just being patient and they know they have a plan. And you know what? Like I said,
look, you have to have faith.
That's why it's called overreaction.
Yeah, you can overreact to to John Middleton and his luxury tax threshold and all that stuff. You can do that. But Dave Dombrowski, I always bash Daryl Morey, and there'll be a good little transition to Sixers talk here. I always bash Daryl Morey because Daryl Morey has never won anything. Dave Dombrowski has won. He was brought here to take us over to the next level, to take us over to the hump. he's actually got a track record of doing that. So we have to have faith in him as the guy that's running the organization. That you got to understand, when he took over this team, he took it over at the beginning of COVID. It was already a mess of a team. That COVID season was just pretty much a wash for anybody. It's not even a real World Series champion that year, in my opinion. Last year, he started working on it, but he still was put into such a tough spot. We got to give him that opportunity to have faith that he will be able to, if he gets rid of Didi, clears up some more space, you get Stott, in at shortstop. You have DH now, so you can move Alec Boehm to first base. You can put Rhys Hoskins at DH. You can rotate them at DH and first base. You bring in somebody to play third base. All of a sudden, things start to, smooth out, and then, maybe he's able to pull it together. But look, we keep talking about Freddie Freeman. We keep talking about, Chris Bryant and all these guys. The crux of this team will still come down to pitching as the issue. It is. Aaron Nola will probably, we talked to Jason last week, should Aaron Nola or Zach Wheeler be the opening day starter? Well, now Zach Wheeler isn't going to be ready for opening day. So it's going to be Aaron Nola again. And you're not going to have Ranger Suarez. So you're going to be missing two, and you're not going to have Zach Eflin. So 3/5 of our starting rotation will not be here and ready for opening day. It's a sad sign.
Meanwhile, the Mets got Chris Bassett.
Yeah,
add to.
It's still the Mets.
Phil, you say that every time, but sooner or later they're gonna turn the corner. Like you say, it's the Mets. It's the Mets. It's Max Scherzer and Jake DeGrom to me. That could be the best 1-2 ever. It's insane, right?
It is
insane 1-2, and then you add, like I said, now you add Chris Bassett, who's basically would have won 20 games last year for the A's had he not got hit in the head with a beanball to the from the off the bat. But I mean, honestly, like you're right. We could get all the hitters we want and try to assemble this lineup that is like feared. When in reality, it won't even be the best lineup in the NL. Like, that's the Dodgers. And your pitching is, at best, maybe a little above average, but I don't know if you can even say that because, like you said, Aaron Nola is so inconsistent. If Aaron Nola is the Aaron Nola of 2017, when he almost won the Cy Young.
Is it that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Are you sure it was
that's like Carson Wentz.
Like a decade ago. Jeez, I can't believe it was that long ago.
Yeah,
it's like talking about if Carson Wentz can come back to 2017 form. That's the same deal.
A long time ago.
But that's what I'm trying to get at is that this team, you're right, it's not ready to compete, and that is a problem. Like. Because the only way you could fix team, like I agree with Mark's assessment for the most part that you realistically should build through the draft. That's the way you should. Most of these teams that have done well recently have done that. But if you're not ready to do that, then the only other alternative is to spend money. Because if you don't, then you're going to be that mediocre 80-win to 85-win team every year, and you're going to do the same thing. So you either have to be bold and kind of go out of your comfort zone and take that, step to say, you know what, we are going to go over the luxury tax because you know what, it's going to give us the best chance to compete. Or else you're telling the fans, we're not going to do it. And that's what's frustrating. And like I said, we all have our own opinions. I think for the most part, we agree that this team is frustrating.
Yeah, they're an average team. The Phillies are. We'll end it here. The Phillies are an average team that spends like a good team, but gets the results of a below average team. So, the Phillies. We're going to keep talking all week long about the Phillies because there's about like 7 other Phillies points that I didn't get to bring up. But we got to move on. We're a half hour into the show. We're going to pay a quick bill, then we're going to come back and talk some. What's up, everybody? Phil Stiefel here, trending in the AM. Look at this site right here, 99jersey.com. Proud supporter of all Trending in the AM shows. Make sure you check them out. Like I said, 99jersey.com. They have the best jerseys of all your favorite athletes from high school, college, movies, TV shows. You got the Kobe Bryant, Lower Merion, the Charlie Conway, Mighty Ducks. Everybody always asks where I got my Sugar Shane Falco jersey back there from the Replacements movie. 99jersey.com. I mean, Magic Johnson, Michigan State, Lonzo Ball, Jalen Rose, you name it, Russell Westbrook, you name it, they've got it on this site. Make sure you check them out, 99jersey.com. Use promo code TRENDING at checkout. It gets you 15% off right away. 99jersey.com, promo code TRENDING. Yo, support the podcast that brings you the heat every single morning. And we're back. All right. Again, we're going to transition from Phillies. We're going to talk Sixers. Overreaction Monday here on DSM Media. And I'm going to say Overreaction Monday. Again, I think I've used this before, Jason, on a Monday, or maybe Mark, maybe you were on the show that day. I am more concerned with last night's win for the Sixers, beating the Orlando Magic. Let me get it up here, the exact score, 116-114, than I am about the loss on Thursday night against the Nets. So Overreaction Monday, last night was a bigger concern than Thursday. Mark?
Yeah, I mean, Orlando's not a very good team, and they manhandled the Sixers for most of the game, and then they got into OT, and Cole Anthony got really hot with his threes, and I was like, boy, they're going to lose on the road against this team, and that's not a good thing. I'll tell you what the Sixers have proven. Since Harden has come aboard, they have proven they can get behind on teams and claw back and win games. Great. They've proved that to me. Now start proving to me that they can blow out teams that they should be blowing out. And that's not happening yet. And it should have happened last night. I don't know why it didn't. But the next couple of games, they need to go and just soundly win a game from start to finish for me to feel a little bit better about what's going on down at the Wells Fargo Center there. So I'm a little on the concern side.
Yeah, I mean, it really is weird. I mean, let's be honest. I didn't actually think to look it all up, the exact numbers, but we struggled actually at all time. Every time we've played the Magic this year, it's really weird why the team as bad as the Magic, we've beat them every single time this year, but we've struggled every single time we've played the Magic this year. Is it looking past the Magic? Was last night just looking past the Magic to the bigger matchup tonight against Denver? The Embiid versus Jokic, rivalry, the who's going to be the MVP. Was last night, Jason, just, the team, because let's be honest, I mean, the team struggled last night, but Joel Embiid still had another MVP caliber game. You take Joel Embiid out of the equation, we lose that game last night. Was it just a simple case of this team looking past to the bigger matchup? Or is it a reason to be concerned that we don't put these bad teams away quickly and easily?
I'm not concerned.
Okay.
I'm really not. I get a sense with this team that they're still trying to find themselves right now with Harden.
100%.
I believe that, they're trying little different things and obviously Doc Rivers, we can get to him in a moment, but I look at last night as much as, yes, you say, well, they should have blown them out. I look at the positives. I look at Tobias Harris, who has gotten nothing but clown in this town, nothing but clown. And he comes out and has a great game. And now I don't see anybody saying like, wow, Tobias Harris had a great game. No.
Yeah, I put that tweet out right at the end of the game last night. It was the last tweet before I went to bed.
I know. I saw the tweet. But it's true. To me, that's a positive. So you know what? Instead of looking at this and saying, well, we should have blown him out, I'm looking at it and I choose to look at it as, well, Tobias Harris actually had a comeback game, looked solid, and you know what? They still won the game. And to Mark's point, I think whether a team is bad or you're playing a good team, the ability to be able to come back from an enormous deficit, regardless of the situation, is only going to help your mentality in the playoffs if you happen to get behind. Because that ability, it kind of forms a unique attitude where you don't worry whatever the circumstances are. You're never down in your mind because we got this. I mean, we saw it with plenty of teams, over the years in all sports where this happens, where teams just have that killer attitude and they know, wow, we're down 21 points. I mean, you saw it with Tom Brady, even though he didn't get the comeback in this past year's playoff, but he brought them back. Like they were never down because he has that killer attitude. That comes from having the ability to do it and showing that you can do it. So I'm looking at it in a positive way. And I'm not saying like that it's not a reason to at least be questioning it, but I'm not concerned because, like I said,
there's a reason why the James Harden-esque type players don't get traded in the middle of a season, late in a season, right at the deadline. If a big trade happens, it's early. Like Jimmy Butler, we got him in November when we traded for him. There's a reason why big name guys don't get traded often late at the season, right at the deadline, because it is hard to integrate someone like James Harden into a team, changing the system, changing the rotation, changing how you play. There's very few practices in the NBA once the season starts. It is very hard. So, people forget, all the struggles. I mean, James Harden, his last 2 games, has shot the ball god awful. But that's, that's possibly a product of them still trying to work on the fly on how to figure this all out. And I think that is, last night, maybe the Brooklyn game was just, I'm just forgetting about it. I don't even want to talk about it. But some of the other games, that's a product of, them still learning. Matisse Thybulle, 4 games so far has looked fantastic. 3 games, he looks lost as can be. And last night was one of those looks lost as can be games. I think we are going to overreact a lot to the Sixers. We're going to be living with our heart on our sleeve every single game now because they went and got James Harden, which, on a side note, everybody, the contest to win my free James Harden jersey, it's sitting here still in the package right here, ends tonight at 7:30. Go check out my tweet at Beard of Knowledge. It's pinned to the top of the page. How you enter. I'm going to give away that James Harden jersey tonight during the Sixers game. So make sure you enter it. Contest rules pinned to the top of my Twitter page. With James Harden here, we are going to wear our hearts on our sleeve all season long. And we're going to overreact every single game to what we see. Hell, we overreacted the first 2 games he played. How we were 6ers and 5. We keep saying that and joking about that. But it's going to be a roller coaster of a ride to the end of this season with emotions because they are still trying to learn how to put it all together.
Listen, Harden said it, after the loss the other day, that everything was gravy. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have times where things aren't going to be 100% with the, you're not going to have these games where Embiid and Harden every single game have 35 points and, 10 rebounds and like these monster games. It's not going to happen every single game. And I think that's why I told you before when we first got Harden in the first couple games when they had these amazing games. That's why I told you I'm not getting real up, and I'm not going to get real down. I'm trying to stay even keel because I know that the bottom line is this team is extremely improved with Harden. They can win a championship. Now it's all about gelling and kind of finding each other and finding that rhythm. And that's what this is all about. And you're right. It's not a lot of time, but it's enough time. And you're going to have ebbs and flows in any, stretch of a season. So that's where I'm at.
Mark?
A game like last night, again, if Brett Brown was the head coach, they would have lost. So, I mean, take it as you may. And from a basketball standpoint, all these guys have played basketball their entire lives. They've probably played in many of the same systems over the course. It's just about getting to know each other on and off the court for them to kind of gel a little bit more. That will take a little bit of time, but Tobias said it last night. He said, I'm just getting used to the catch and shoot role that I need to play now. And once I get that down, he'll be fine. And he had a great game. He's the reason why they won the game last night, and that's what you need too. If you got Harden that is off his game, or Maxi's not scoring, he didn't have a good game last night either. Somebody else has to step up. And as long as the rest of the team knows that and just doesn't rely on Embiid and Harden every game to win, I think they'll be better off going forward. I think Tobias realizes. I think Maxey is too young to kind of have that pressure of him being part of the big three, but he's going to have to accelerate his learning right now. I mean, because we really need him. And a guy like Matisse Thybulle, I just think he needs to stay in his role. And can you get me 6, 8, 10 points off the bench every night, or even in the starting line? He's starting now. Can you get me 10 points every night? I don't think that's asking for much. 10 points. If he can consistently score 10 points, I think this team will win each game soundly. If they can do that, balance each other out, have Matisse score a few points and play great defense, have Embiid put up his 30 and 12 every night. And he does it like clockwork. He had a bad game last night and still scored. What did he have? 35 and
he was 35 and 16, 7 assists, 2 blocks, a steal. So he shot. I mean, everybody talks about.
He didn't shoot well. He didn't shoot well at all
last night. He shot terribly last night.
Yeah.
So
and
when Joel and James Harden have off nights like that, Maxey was 1 of 6 from 3. That's why Tobias Harris is here. I've said it before. Tobias, people get down on Tobias. Tobias is still a really good scorer in the NBA. So it's really nice to see that. It's also really nice to see that Doc Rivers is working on his rotations a little bit better. Like you said, Mark, Brett Brown would have lost this game. Brett Brown would have left Korkmaz in the rotation, but he has now pulled Korkmaz, even with Danny Green out right now, one of your key bench players out with that laceration on his finger. He still hasn't gone back to the well of Furkan Korkmaz. Furkan Korkmaz is firmly planted at the end of the bench. You're seeing a little Isaiah Joe. Look, Isaiah Joe is not what people think he is. He's a gunner just like Korkmaz. He's a bad defender just like Korkmaz. But you're trying something new, which is very surprising and unlike Doc Rivers. So I like to see that. Once we get to the playoffs, if Danny Green's back by then, you will not see Isaiah Joe on the floor. You will not see Furkan Korkmaz on the floor. You'll barely see Shake Milton on the floor. That's why you have James Harden, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey, so that those guys come playoff time don't have to see the floor. So yeah, Doc Rivers has been somewhat impressive in the last week or two because out of everybody, he seems to be handling this new mix with James Harden being thrown into the equation the best, in my opinion, out of all of them, because he's adjusting on the fly a lot quicker. And I guess that goes to showing, I mean, he's coached in the NBA for 20 plus years now, 30 plus years now, whatever it may be. He's showing why having a veteran, head coach there like him is really important.
Having Harden just makes his job a hell of a lot easier. He doesn't have to worry about who's coming off the bench in most cases. He just, all right, Harden, do your thing. The problem is Harden hasn't done his thing the last 2 games. So hopefully he bounces back tonight against the Nuggets and shoots 45% from the field and throws up 25 and 10 assists. Like if he can do that, I think they could walk away with the game tonight.
So let's get into it, Jason. Game tonight. Sixers are a 2-point favorite against the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets are obviously still a really good basketball team. Reigning MVP Nikolai Jokic is, their leader, obviously. But there are talks that, he clearly said, Doc Rivers this past weekend, that Harden and Embiid are going to get rest moments coming down the stretch here because you want them healthy. And it's the right thing to do. Give them some blows, down the stretch so that they're, fully ready to go for the playoffs. I am hoping, Jason, that tonight's not one of those rest nights. I know they all played 40-plus minutes in overtime. That's the typical game when Joel Embiid then rests. Then you had to get on the plane after that game in overtime, fly home to Philly. Then you got to play a national TV game tonight against the Nuggets. That's probably why they're only a 2-point favorite tonight also, is that there's got to be some fear that the Sixers pull one of those, let's give Joel Embiid a rest kind of nights.
They better friggin' not.
I know Scotty and a bunch of the DSM guys are going down to the game tonight. I know they will be very disappointed if Joel and Embiid are
not sit either of those guys tonight.
Yeah.
Any other game, it's fine.
Yeah.
I would be pissed if I'm Embiid and I got to be sat for load management because that's going to adversely affect his ability to win the MVP going against Jokic. If he sits for that, it's not a good look. And I think he wants to kind of show him that I'm the MVP, not you.
I think
And
Joel Embiid wants to play all 82 games in a season.
yes,
You know, Joel Embiid is the type of personality, the alpha dog, that he doesn't want to load management ever. He wants to play all 82 games. But you got to understand a 7'2", 285-pound man needs a blow here and there. And that's actually a great reason why you went out and got DeAndre Jordan in the buyout market. If you rest him in a game like last night, if you wanted to rest somebody, you could have rested Joel Embiid last night. He didn't even have to get on the flight to Orlando. He could have stayed in Philly after the Brooklyn game. He could have rested for a few days. You could have given him the night off in Orlando. We still probably would have won. Maybe it would have been, maybe not. Who knows? Who knows how the game would have played out last night if Joel wasn't there? But that was the game to give him the blow, not tonight. So I'm really hoping, like everybody else, that it's not the case. If Joel plays, if James Harden plays, Mark, how do you see tonight's game playing out?
I think they win soundly tonight. I think they'll win by 10. And I think it'll be a rather boring game. And I think they've had enough of heartburn and aggravation the last two games that they're not going to allow a Nuggets team to get ahead of them big and them having the claw back again. I think they soundly win this game tonight, and I think you do see Embiid and Harden both play tonight.
Jason, do you share those sentiments or do you disagree?
I agree with Mark. I think Sixers win, and I think it's going to be probably Harden and Embiid going for right about their averages on the season.
All right.
Yeah,
I got an interesting question for you guys because I saw it come up. I forget whether it was Keith Pompey or somebody else posted it, where the playoff matchups lie up. How important is it now for the Sixers to not just rest and be ready for the playoffs, not just win games and lock up home court or whatever, to also focus on playoff seeding? Because right now they are in the 2 seat now, officially. They're tied, but because of tiebreakers, they are in the 2 spot right now. That would mean a first-round matchup most likely against the Brooklyn Nets. Would you rather them? Do you care about playoff seeding, guys? Because I do to an extent. Like, we obviously match up way better against the Cleveland Cavaliers if we were in the 3 seat and they are the 6 seat than 2 against the Nets in the 7 seat. Do you guys care about I'm not trying to say win or lose games, but, you know, worrying about your playoff position to affect your first-round matchup?
I think it's bad juju. I think it's bad juju if you try to, hey, I'm going to take the 3 seed because the safer opponent is Cleveland. That stuff blows up in your face. I think you need to shoot for the 1 seed, and if you play Brooklyn or you fall at the 2 and you play Brooklyn, so be it. Bring it on. Show me what you got. Show me that is your team or it was an anomaly. You know, I don't like. I think when you try to settle for the opponent that you think you match up the best with, that stuff blows up in your face. And I really hope they don't try to do that. I think they really should shoot for that 1 seed.
Do it, but it's something that's always, as a fan, in the back of my mind is at this point in the season, I start looking at potential first-round matchups. And, you know, obviously we just got smoked by the Nets, and the Nets are a better team than people think when they're on the road because they got Kyrie Irving and stuff like that. And I don't think we match up well against the Nets. So I think that's the toughest first-round matchup. So it's something I think of. Jason, do you agree? Bad juju. If you worry about those kind of things?
I don't know if I necessarily think it's bad juju. I mean, to me, if you want my honest opinion, I want them to get the 1st seed. I'm not worried about settling.
You're reading my
mind.
If
you're going to talk about like settling, I want to go for the 1st seed. That's where I want to finish because I want the best possible chance to win. And I think you get number 1 seed generally in almost every sport. The number 1 seed generally has a better chance than. You know, obviously we see Cinderella stories here and there that come up, but
look at that. Look at that transition right there. I wasn't going to transition into it yet, but the Cinderella story. That's a great segue into March Madness. I was going to transition to the Eagles for 2 minutes, but you just gave me that Cinderella
future
story.
National champion.
Well, I wish it was the Eagles, but
we're going to talk. I mean, we got 10 minutes, guys. So I already prepped. I don't know about you, Jason. I prepped with Mark before the show. I prepped him that I've watched literally 3 seconds of college basketball this year. So I'm going to fill out the Millie Maker bracket on ESPN just because why not? It's free. It's a chance, a shot in the dark. But I have watched zero college basketball. On Monday last week, I saw somebody tweet that it was, conference tournament weekend coming up. I didn't even know that Sunday was Selection Sunday until like Friday of last week. That's how little college basketball I paid attention to this year. So I'm going to defer to Mark. The brackets were released last night. Mark, Jason, do you unless Jason wants to throw some thoughts in on it, Mark, tell us about the bracket. What your thoughts on it? Did they get the number 1 seeds right? Outside of your hate for Duke, so you the 16 seed in the worst bracket or something like that. Outside of that, how did they do on their bracket?
I think the 1 seeds are appropriate. I think we got Baylor, Gonzaga, Arizona, and Kansas. I think they got those seeding right. From a local perspective, I follow a lot of the college basketball from a local perspective beyond the Big Five. Your Rutgers, your UD, they both made the tournament. I hate the fact that the Rutgers have a play-in game against Notre Dame. I think they've had some really big wins in the Big Ten, and they weren't ranked all year. But there were some huge wins that they should have had some consideration. They had some bad losses too, don't get me wrong, but like a play-in 11 seed game against Notre Dame, I don't think is fair for them. I love the fact that University of Delaware made it. I love teams like that when they make it. They got to play Villanova in the first round. Honestly, Villanova's going to smoke them. They'll probably win by 30 and run away with it. But the matchup between Ohio State and Loyola Chicago, I don't want to see Loyola Chicago at all. There's one thing when you're picking a bracket, you got to look for 5-12 upsets, and you got to look for the mid-majors who are going to make a deep run to a Sweet 16. And that Loyola Chicago team has proven that they could play with the big boys, and Villanova playing them in the second round. That's going to be a tough game for them. Then after that, I think they could wiggle their way into the Sweet 16, and then anything can happen. I think
I'm looking at the bracket right now for the first time.
So am I.
I'm literally just looking at it, and yes, I actually love that Villanova has University of Delaware because I hate University of Delaware. As a former Drexel Dragon, we beat them to make it to their only NCAA tournament when Malik Rose was there, and I was at that championship game, and then I was there the next year without Malik Rose, and Delaware smoked the Drexel Dragons to get into the tournament. I believe that was 1998, 99. I'm so old, I don't even remember what year that was. But so even though I was only a 1-year Drexel Dragon, I hate the University of Delaware because they were their biggest rivals in college basketball when I played. So I hope Villanova smokes them. But what I'm looking at, the first thing that jumped out at me, my favorite coach in college basketball, Tom Izzo, Michigan State, goes up against probably Duke in the second round because Michigan State, I'll pick them to beat Davidson. And then Duke got CSU Fullerton in the first, in that 215 matchup.
Of course they would get somebody like him.
Yeah, I want to see my man Izzo knock Coach K out and end the Coach K run right there. That's the only thing on the whole bracket that stands out at me is Coach K versus Tom Izzo in the second round or in the round of 32 there. That's a matchup. That's like a championship caliber matchup of two head coaches.
Izzo is a great coach, and Davidson, though, is a really good team as well. I've heard some good things for them coming into the tournament, so I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for Michigan State. Duke at a 2 seed, I think they're more like a 3-4 seed, although they beat Kentucky this year. They beat Gonzaga. They're in the bracket with Gonzaga, so they're lining it up for a showdown. I don't think Duke goes far. I don't. I think you're right. If Michigan State sees Duke, that could be a problem for Duke. They're not going to get by Gonzaga, and honestly, I don't think anybody's going to get by Gonzaga. I think this is the year that they finally get over the hump and win the championship. And listen, good for them. These guys came into the college basketball tournament, I don't know, a decade ago, 15 years ago, as a mid-major type team, and they were able to build that organization up or build that team up to one of the premier schools in the country. And listen, they are not any different than what Villanova is. It's the same type of school. It's a Catholic school, if I'm not mistaken. It's a smaller private school, but they got a powerhouse basketball team. And I think this year is they're really gonna kind of put their stamp on it and win the national championship.
Jason, do you have anything to add? Because literally, I've thrown every bit of NCAA knowledge I've already got at the wall there.
Well, I don't have a ton of knowledge. I do watch the tournament every year. Specific certain games I'll turn on. Obviously, I'll always be rooting for Villanova. But I think Mark makes a great point. I think Gonzaga is the team that every year I kind of have a secret man love for. I want them to win. I want them to win a tournament. I don't know if it's just the name. I don't know what it is about it. It's just I always want them to win. So when I go,
I'm the complete opposite. I kind of want to see Gonzaga lose every single year. I'm not going to name too many names, but Roxy, kid from college of mine, he jumped on the Gonzaga bandwagon from the first year that Mark brought up that they made their first run, and he was a mainliner, Roxy, and he left his mainline love to be a Gonzaga. And I won't lie, he has stayed firm and bashed Villanova now for 10, 15 years, even though he's a Nova guy before it. But he's all Gonzaga. So just for that one person, I haven't seen him in person since college, but I see him on Facebook every single day of college basketball season. Gonzaga this, Gonzaga that, Gonzaga this. And I'm like, yo, I got to see Gonzaga lose every single game, always, just to shut him up. So.
We're always polar opposites, but that's what makes this show so great,
Right.
Everybody hates Villanova because they are on the main line, and they're not. They consider themselves a city school, but they're not in the city school, and they're elitist. But look at the program; it's a clean program. Their athletes are graduate, and they graduate with high honors. They graduate early. Jay Wright is pure class. If you follow him on Twitter, he has nothing but nice things to say about so many different things. He was just on the news this morning, kicking off the Coaches versus Cancer charity today. Like Nova, people are jealous of Nova. I get it. We're really good. And we have been for quite some time.
Did you graduate from Nova?
I did graduate from Nova. Yes, sir. Class of 96. Yeah, we're old. Real quick story. When I was there, it was Steve Lappis's first year as head coach. And at the end of freshman orientation, they bring all the students in for Raleigh Massimino used to do it, but now Lapis does it. He talks to the student body and gets them all rah-rah. And he said, at the end of your time at Villanova, you will have experienced a championship. And everybody in the pavilion went crazy. It was bonkers. It was so loud. What he failed to tell us was that championship would be an NIT championship the next year. And he kind of failed miserably in the NCAAs my junior and senior year. But that's my quick Villanova story. Everybody hates us, but they're one of the best basketball programs in the country. Maybe even better than Duke, Scotty.
All right. So real quick, we only got about a minute left. So quick answers here. We didn't get to talk much football, Jason. We'll talk it tomorrow. The legal tampering period, the weirdest, oddest term in sports history. The legal tampering period begins today. Free agency doesn't begin for a few more days officially, but legal tampering. We've seen this week, guys, or seen this offseason, that it sounds like Howie Roseman's going to be uber aggressive this offseason. Do we hear in this legal tampering period starting today that the Eagles make some moves or are prepared to make some moves? Jason, quick answer. Do we see any of the big names coming to Philly today or tomorrow morning?
Well, I do believe so. And real quick, just this morning it dropped, which to me, this is kind of big news, that Devontae Adams and the Packers are super far away, and Devontae does not want to play on the franchise tag. Just a a note. I mean, that kind of is newsworthy. I mean, not that we could get Devontae Adams, but I know it was always a pipe dream. But who wouldn't want Devontae Adams? I mean,
If
I
he
got to be
becomes
honest.
available on the market, if he becomes, I keep saying that Allen Robinson is going to get a little too expensive and have too many suitors because all the guys are gone. If Devontae Adams is all of a sudden on the free agent market, it kind of frees Allen Robinson up to be that next target for us to, take
Well,
some of
that's
the
my
other
point.
out of the
I
equation.
think whenever you have a guy that you add to the mix, especially of his caliber, it's definitely newsworthy. I mean, I'm not saying he'll probably end up going back to Green Bay. Why would he not want to play with Aaron
Right.
Rodgers? But that's just my 2 cents.
All right, Mark,
I think
oh, sorry.
I don't necessarily think that we're going to get news today, but I do think that by tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow's free agency starts. So
Right, but you can legally start tampering and announcing some things. You just can't sign it.
yeah, but I think tomorrow you definitely hear it. I don't know if we hear anything today. It depends on what Howie's, like I said, I'm sure he has a game plan, and it's just a matter of what that plan is.
Mark.
I think he'll make the right moves. He might not get the sexiest pick out there, but like kind of what I was talking about baseball earlier. Sometimes you got to get those second tier guys to fill the holes. I think Howie does a tremendous job doing those things, and I think he'll find one or two guys that are really going to fit this team well. And I don't have much to add on that. I think he might get a couple under the radar guys that will turn out to be more than adequate for this team.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up then. Tom Brady. We didn't even talk that Tom Brady is already out of retirement. He saw his honey to-do list. His wife told him that now that he's retired, he's got to do the laundry, and he's like, "Screw that! I'm going back to the NFL." We didn't even get to talk that today, but it was a great show today, guys. This is Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media every Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. I am Phil Stifle, your host at Bearded Knowledge. My co-host this morning at Mark Moscatelli with a Mark with a C, and Jason Voorhees at Mustang3651. Make sure you shoot them follows on Twitter as well. Brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products. Check them out, manscaped.com. Promo code DSM get you 20% off and free shipping. And of course, our new sponsor, 99jersey.com. Promo code trending for 15% off all their great jerseys that they have on their site there. Everybody have a great Monday. We'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday. We'll continue the football talk tomorrow and obviously be recapping the Sixers Nuggets game tomorrow. Everybody have a great day today. And, I know they look bad, but we're still going. 6-5, guys.
6-5.
Let's do it, brother.